So another Kiwi crew, this time in lane 1. Germany finished second behind Britain in the World Cup in Belgrade 3 weeks ago. Poland, Italy on fire, another Italian crew on fire, can't believe I'm saying that, in lane 4. Australia, and then the Dutch on this lane closest to us. There's the Kiwi, stroked by Lewis Hollows, 25-year-old from West End Rowing Club, Mohe Drysdale's club up there in Auckland. Cam Crampton, Georgia Parry and Nathan Flannery up in the bow seat. Germans rebuilding their quads, coached by Markus Schwarzrock. The experience of Stefan Kruger in the stroke seat, the 29-year-old, the Olympic champion in this event, Hans Gruner from Rio behind him, and then Philipp Sirig and Ruben Steinhardt up in the bows. There's the Poles, put 2 under-23s in this quad, Simon Pozniak and Maciej Zakowski up in the bows, with Dominik Haza and Viktor Shabal from the crew that did so well last year, came 5th in the World Championships. There are the Italians, Mondelli, Rambaldi, Panzini and Gentili. Absolutely on fire they were in yesterday's semi-final. The Australians got to try and live with that pace, coached by Mark Prater. Caleb Antill, Alex Pinnell, he adds a lot to it, the 23-year-old Luke Letcher, and in the stroke seat, David Watts from Sydney Rowing Club. And on the outside lane is the Netherlands. On the right of your picture, Dirk Bogaard. In the bow seat from the Neerhouse Club in Amsterdam, the power of Stefan Poining from Njord. In the 2 seat, Koen Mertzackers from Focus in the 3 seat, and Abbe Wiersma in the stroke seat from Neerhouse. They've replaced their stroke man, Freek Robbers, who is going to be, we'll see later, stroking the men's 8s. But there are the Italians, on form Italians, Giacomo Gentili with a 20-year-old stroke man, and Andrea Panizza, just 19 years of age, in the 2 seat. These men know no fear, and you could see that in yesterday's semi-final.
The Italian crew showed no fear yesterday. We saw them go after it, loads of belief, and win that semi-final, put themselves in the centre lane, and here they go again, moving really smoothly together. Great to see an Italian quad back racing at this very high level.
Mondelli and Rambaldi, of course, in the Italian quad, took the bronze medal in the men's double last year at the World Championships in Sarasota, and they put it together with the 2 youngsters who finished 12th in the men's quad, and it's different form now. Germany really come back into the picture after a disappointing performance at the World Championships last year. You see the strokeman there, Stefan Kruger, really puts everything into it, doesn't he?
Well, we're used to seeing Stefan Kruger in the double scull really going for it, and they were really going for it there, splashing around. Looking here at the Dutch crew, it looks a little bit quieter, a little bit more efficient around the blade work, but it's the power and pace of the German crew that seems to be getting them out in front.
Well, the Germans led through every mark except the last one at Belgrade, where the British just got through them. British actually didn't make this final. They won the B final today, finished in 7th place. That was a surprise. But again, we wonder what impact that World Cup victory will have on all of the German team, as we see the Italians. Well, Germany lead through the 500, but it's not by much from Poland and Italy, as you can see. Netherlands right in there, New Zealand and Australia slightly off the pace at the back of the field, but no surprise.
Well, it's so funny to see Gentili sitting there in the stroke seat, just having a look to his left, look to his right. He'll be working so hard and so efficiently, but he just wants to be aware of what's going on in the race. And this one's not letting us down at all. We can see form with those 3 crews, but I think there's still plenty to go on here as we have a look with the Polish. 4th in Belgrade. Look to have made some crew changes here, and they looked very good yesterday in their semi.
Yeah, it's great they could just pump the 2 under-23s in there up in the bows, and actually it looks like they're almost a quicker crew than they were in Belgrade. The Polish double that came out of this crew didn't make the final in that event either.
Well, it's like the Italians, isn't it? It's the young crew with all the belief going for it and thinking we'll take on the rest of the world, against perhaps that more experienced crew from Germany at the top in lane 2.
I'll tell you, that's a great scull from the Germans. The Italians led them in the semi-final, but the Germans haven't let them do that. They've really taken it out with a purpose, perhaps in inspired form. There are the German blades, Stefan Kruger in the stroke seat, the Olympic champion behind him, Hans Gruner from Potsdam. All these guys rode pretty much in the east of Germany. Philip Siring from Magdeburg, Jürgen Grobler's old club, and Ruben Steinhardt from Hamburg and Germania. So it's Italy, but only leading by the narrowest of margin, 0.05 of a second. What have they got in the third quarter?
And the Netherlands as well down there in lane 6. They're going to be out of our picture most of the time, but they're certainly right in the race here as we see them just coming up, looking like they're getting into it in this third 500. Will they manage to take on the lead?
Didn't quite have the pace in the second 1,000 in Belgrade 3 weeks ago, but they were certainly up there early doors, so I'm not sure they're going to have the sprint finish. Toe-to-toe, Germany and Italy. This is what we like. The Italians had it, but what a great skull. You've got the experience there of the Olympic champion, Hans Gruner. I mean, he was loving the fact that they did so well against the British in Belgrade. He gave a big pat on the back at the finish to Stefan Kruger, as if to say, job done, what can we do in the next World Cup? Well, this is what they're doing.
It just looks hard, though, from Hans Gruner and the rest of his crew. They look like they're just missing those finishes a little bit. The blades just look like they come a little bit loose and wash out as compared to the Italians, who to me look like they just press it through a little bit more effectively.
So the Germans at the top of their game in the third quarter. You have to say, though, this is a better performance than we saw for them in the semi-final yesterday. They were slower in the third quarter by about a second than the Italians, who really took it to them in the semi-final. That's not going to be the story today as we come up to the final mark. Germany will go through in the first place, just 0.2 of a second ahead of Italy. Netherlands right in there, New Zealand in fourth place, but probably out of the medal contention. OK, now, what have you got, Giacomo Gentili? 20 years of age in the stroke seat, cap back on your head. Now you need to do something. Now you need... And he is responding.
Giacomo Gentili there, you say he's looked like a cool customer from the very start. Now starting to build the stroke rate, and we know the Italians have used rate very well so far in this regatta to sprint finish, and I just can't see how the Germans can really sprint their way in.
Yeah, well, they put so much into being competitive with the Italians through the middle 1,000. The Dutch are right there, and you can see them on the lane closest to you. So we see New Zealand in fourth place, the Poles are out of it, the Australians are out of it, certainly in medal contention. There is the Australian quad, coached by Mark Prater, but here on our drone shot we can see the Italians are in the first place position coming into the last 20 strokes.
Well, look how they've done it with that stroke rate, up to 44 strokes a minute, and they've taken out at least half a boat length, if not a whole length, in this last 500. A great decisive move from the Italians.
Netherlands coming back on Germany on this near side. They will challenge for that silver medal. A great row from the Australians. Charging, I don't quite think they'll get the Germans. The Germans are fading, but the Australians are in full place. Italy take the gold medal. It is Holland who will take the silver. Germany hang on for the bronze, and Australian charge just doesn't get them a bronze medal. The Germans were dying after the effort they put in. New Zealand in fifth place, Poland in sixth. What an exciting race.
Well, what a performance from this Italian quad. They were just so cool through the middle of the race, and then when the time came they knew they could just turn on the pace. The Netherlands here held their nerve, difficult on that outside lane, but they've delivered when it mattered in the final, and you can see the pain there on the Germans, that they went for it from early on. They were very brave, but they just weren't efficient enough to hang on through the last 500.
Yeah, and well, exhaustion from Stefan Kruger. Another pat on the back from Hans Gruner.
I'm not surprised. The way he races, he's always raced like that. Yeah. He just looks 100%. He looks like he's on the red line. It's like driving your car on the red line all the time.
He's got red hair too.
Yeah.
He's, you know,
There's no wonder the engine burns out.
Yeah. There's the Australians. Weren't really in contention in the first quarter. That wasn't the case in the last, as we see off the start. The blades of the Italians, race winners, the distinctive features of the strokeman, the 20-year-old Giacomo Gentili. Luca Rambaldi behind him. There's Stefan Kruger. We were talking about him. Look at the effort on his face, and Hans Gruner too. You're just a little concerned about their finishes there, weren't you, Greg? Just maybe a little rip just at the last bit of the stroke.
They just seem to lose that little bit of efficiency, that last little press out. The Italians just look a little bit calmer and a little bit sort of quieter almost as their hands came around that finish, that back turn. And they won the day. But I think there's still plenty more in this event. The Lithuanian world champions, we haven't seen them yet this year. The British crew will be very disappointed to have not made the final, having got silver last year. So the Australians and the New Zealanders' first races out in Europe, so I suspect they will still have more to give as the year goes on.
Italy, another Italian crew on fire. How many gold medals is that? 3 gold medals for Italy, 540. Netherlands in second.